You are welcome back. So now we are going to begin the sewing process of our handkerchief dress, but first we want to catch the darts. To begin, we want to sew our dart, our waist dart. Please, if you did not go through the first lesson, the part 1 of this lesson, you want to go to it. You want to go and watch it so you can understand where we are coming from. So we are going to sew the second dart point, starting from the waistline straight to our bust point. We are done sewing our darts. After sewing our darts, this is what we get. This is what our dart looks like. Okay. The next thing we want to do now is join our zip line together. We want to sew our zipper allowance together, right side facing each other. That's we're working on the back piece now. We want to join that zip line together so that we can attach our zip. But first, we don't sew exactly on that zip line. We have gone like 1/4 inch away from the zip line, and we're using the longest stitch, that's the gather stitch. Okay, so that it will be easy for us to rip it out, because after sewing our zipper we are going to take it out. So we are done joining our zip line. Don't forget to use the longest stitch, okay, so that it will be easy for us to rip it out. This is what it looks like. We have joined the two back pieces together, and now we are going to be attaching our zip to that zip line. Okay, now we are going to sew our zip to our back piece, right side facing the fabric. So we open our zip so that it will be easy for us to sew on that edge. If not, you won't be able to sew on the edge. So now we have placed our zip close to that zip line, okay, exactly on the notch that we made. Okay, don't forget we did not join the two pieces at that notch. We left like 1/4 inch so that we can sew our zip exactly on that zip line where we made the notch. We are done sewing on one side. You want to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, you want to do the same thing to the other side, starting from the bottom. Okay, you want to hold your fabric like so, lift it up, make sure you're not sewing it together with the back piece. Okay, and place it on your sewing machine and begin sewing. So now, as you can see, we cannot see the zip on the other side because it has been sealed. So we are going to open up that first line, that first stitch we made. Okay, so once you rip out this first stitch, our zip will come out on this other side. So we are ripping out the first stitch we made. Please be careful not to rip out the stitch you used in sewing the zip. Okay, rip out the first stitch you made. As you're ripping it out, our zip will be revealing on this other side, as you can see. Okay, You just saw our zip is now coming out. So as you're ripping it out, the first stitch we made, our zip will be showing itself. Okay, let me give you a closer view. You see, we have 2 stitches here. The first one we made is what we are ripping out, not the stitch that you used in sewing the zip. Okay, not the stitch holding the zip. It's the first stitch we made, the gather stitch we made, okay, that you are ripping out. And as you rip it out, your zip will be showing, okay, on the surface. So we're done now. We have gone back to our front piece. We are going to be lining our front piece. Okay, so we want to line our front piece. You've already catch our dart in the lining, so when you're working with your lining, you want to also catch sew on your dart. Don't only sew on the fabric, the main fabric, sew the dart also on your lining piece. So now we want to turn the neckline. This is a typical example of how to turn a U neckline. Okay, a U neckline. You want to place the right side of your lining facing the right side of your fabric, your main fabric, okay, and sew a U shape. Sew on your U shape, okay, on your U neckline, maybe half inch to 3/4 of an inch. All right, that will do. So now you're done sewing our neckline. You want to give it a notch. This is what the neckline looks like after sewing on it. So you want to give it a notch so that it can easily turn to the other side. It can easily turn and the neckline will look neat. Yeah, our neckline is almost ready. So the next thing we want to do is iron it out. Okay, you want to iron out your neckline. So now it's time to pipe our neckline, but before then let us finish up our zip. Okay, so you can see that edge we did not finish it up, so let's just finish up our zip. Then we now begin piping our neckline. I'm using two methods for this one dress. The front piece I turned it with a lining. The back piece I'm going to pipe it with a bias, okay, bias tape. You can decide to do this, but it's not compulsory. In fact, don't do it. If you're turning your necklines with the bias piece, with your piping it with the bias, pipe the front and the back. If you're turning it with the lining, turn the lining, the front and the back. I'm just doing this just to show you how to. So this is just how to pipe your bias, pipe your neckline with the help of the bias. You want to open up that zip and sew 1/4 of an inch of the bias to your neckline. Sew 1/4 of an inch. You want to climb that zip, the edge of your zip. Okay, when you're done, you want to cut out the excess, the remaining bias. Okay, when you're done, you want to bend your bias strip, to cover your neckline. Okay, like so, and sew on the bias. You can bend it 1/2 inch, you can bend it 3/4 of an inch, but 1/2 inch is okay. 1/2 inch will look clean and professional. You want to do the same thing to this other side of your back piece, the right side of your back piece facing the right side of the bias tip, and sew on 1/4 of an inch from the bias. Okay, Just the same process. You turn your bias and cover your neckline, and this is what your back piece look like. Now you want to join our back piece to our front piece. We want to join the shoulder, okay, of our back piece to our front piece. We want to open up the front piece from the lining. I'm not joining the front piece and its lining to the back piece. We want to open up the lining away from the front piece, and so. You do the same thing to this other side. Now we are done joining our shoulder, the front shoulder to the back shoulder, and our bodice is already coming out. So now the next thing we want to do is turn that shoulder line with our lining. Please follow me closely so that you don't miss any step, okay? You want to turn your lining with your shoulder piece like so, and join the 3 pieces of fabric together, your back, front and lining piece of the front panel. Once you get this step right, once you turn your fabric, this is what it will look like. When you get that process right, when you turn your fabric to the back from the inside, this is exactly what to reflect. So now we are done with the shoulder. We are going to be turning the front armhole with the lining piece. Don't forget the front is being lined, so we are going to see how we can line the armhole and the neck line, okay, with the front lining. For the back, we're going to I think pipe it. So let's keep moving. Now we are going to be notching that armhole. Please always notch your circle, your curves. Always notch your curves so you will like the effect on the other side of the fabric. Now we are going to be turning our side front with the lining piece. Alright guys, we are done with the lining of our front body. Please check out the last part of this lesson where we are going to be joining our body. You're going to be shaping our body and also attaching our handkerchief skirts to it. Bye.